Haribol, Haribol. Greetings everyone. So today I'd like to talk about happiness science. Many years ago I went to university, at Wits University, and studied psychology. But I wasn't convinced about what they said, about how to be happy. Of course, there were different theories coming from the so-called psychology gurus like Freud and Adler and Skinner and so forth, and Jung. But apart from Jung, no one there was really convincing me. But having come to Krishna consciousness in the late 70s, I started to read about a completely different perspective on happiness, and of course that begins with understanding that I'm not this body, I'm the soul. And very interesting information provided in the Vedas, the ancient spiritual books of wisdom, about the soul, the jiva. That the soul is a subatomic particle, spiritual particle. Actually, even the dimension is given 1/10,000th the size of a tip of a hair. It's very tiny, subatomic. And yet that soul has more energy than millions of suns. And at the moment, that soul is situated within this body in the region of the heart. Then one of our great spiritual masters, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, gives this lovely song. It's a song traditionally sung in the morning. Jeev jago, Gaurachanda bole. So this song is about Gaurachandra, about the Supreme Lord in his golden incarnation, Gauranga. And he's going and singing to all the sleeping souls. He says, Jeev jago. Jeev means soul, jago, wake up. So he's saying, wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you sleep on the lap of the witch called Maya, the witch of illusion? So this is very interesting that in the conditioned life, in the material world, the soul is there, but he's sleeping. He's in a sleeping condition. Although we may say, but look, I'm busy, I'm getting in the car, I'm driving to work, I'm attending meetings, I'm swimming, I'm climbing, I'm doing this and that. I'm not sleeping. But actually, the consciousness of the soul is such that he's in a sleeping condition. He's not conscious. Of course, he's there and he's providing the energy for this body to work. But he's not awake. This is the information we receive from the ancient Vedic knowledge and the spiritual masters. We're also told that the nature of the soul, that tiny subatomic particle, is that he's Satchit Ananda Vigraha. The quality of that soul is that he is a spiritual, eternal particle. Nothing can destroy him. Sat, Chit, he's by nature full of knowledge. And Ananda, he's by nature full of bliss. And Vigraha, he has form, he's not formless. So this aspect of Ananda is very interesting, that by nature, his intrinsic nature is blissful. So then you may say, well, why is there so much unhappiness and depression in the world, if the nature of the soul is blissful? And the answer comes around again, that soul is not awake. He's sleeping. And because he's sleeping, he's what he called Nirananda. He's in a unhappy condition. In his wakeful condition, he is Ananda. So this is the wonderful psychology given in the Vedas, that what is the cause of unhappiness, the real root cause? The root cause is that I, the soul, am sleeping. We also hear in Bhagavad Gita that once the soul is embodied, This temporary body, subtle and gross, is covering the soul's consciousness. There are the three binding forces of material nature. The nature, three binding forces meaning the binding force of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, they are binding the consciousness of the soul, embodied soul, and therefore he's sleeping. So this is the explanation for unhappiness, for Nirananda. Not some pie-in-the-sky explanation about your past and your parents and this and that. Huh? No. The real fundamental understanding is that I'm not this body, I'm the soul. The nature of the soul is Ananda, blissful, but because he's sleeping in this embodied condition, he's Nirananda, unhappy. So of course the next question is, all right, if we accept the truth of that, how do I wake up? If I wake up, then all my happiness disappears. My natural, blissful, Ananda condition will manifest. And wonderfully, the Vedas give us the method to wake up. And this is, especially in this age, the method of taking to the chanting of the holy names of God, the transcendental sound vibration. So this is the only way to wake up the soul. You cannot wake up this sleeping soul in any other way, not by any medication or any other therapy or this or that, no. My Gurudev gave that example that just like if you are using the stove, the oven, and you're doing some baking, but you don't clean. You don't clean. Day after day, week after week, you're baking, but you don't clean. Then you get, as my Gurudev said, baked on grease and grime. Baked on grease and grime, very thick. He said even a jackhammer. Yeah, this is anyway the example that baked on grease and grime is very difficult, very thick, if it's not clean for a long time. So he says like this, that this is being the condition of the soul, the conditioned soul, in illusion, lifetime after lifetime, is that the illusion is very thick. The illusion, thinking that I'm this body, forgetful of the fact that I'm the soul, forgetful that I have relationship with the Supreme Soul, Shri Krishna. This illusion, Maya, is so thick that he said even a jackhammer wouldn't cut it loose. But fortunately, transcendental sound, divine sound, living sound of the holy names will cut away that illusion. And when that happens, of course, the soul awakens by this chanting of the holy names. Shri Gauranga Jaya Gauranga Go Gauranganam, Shri Gauranga Jaya Gauranga Go Gauranganam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this divine sound is what's called the Yoga Dharma, the religion of the age. And by this method, the sleeping soul is woken up. And then automatically the Ananda bliss manifests. Because in that waking condition, he's awake to the fact that he has a loving connection, loving relationship with Sri Krishna, who is Sukha Swarup, the source of all happiness. So that loving service is the source of our real happiness. And when that awakens, then automatically there's happiness. Of course, we know the gurus, the great acharyas explain there are different stages of chanting. So it is not an overnight process, but in one sense it's very quick. It's this bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion is described as the express train back to Godhead, back to the spiritual sky. So we just need to persevere under the guidance, of course, always of the Acharya, the pure devotee of Sri Krishna, and with his blessings. And in this way we can begin to experience Satchidananda, the eternal blissful, knowledgeable life in the company of Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, the eternal homeland, which is described as indescribably blissful. Radhe Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna.